This is Border Battle with King and CJ. With King.
You want to go get a hot dog at halftime? Well, guess what? You can also take the under in the second half of 25. You know what I mean?
And CJ.
You can win Super Bowls right now with me and Grandpa Brady over here. Let's do it that way.
Presented by the fine students and faculty of the Oklahoma State University School of Media and Strategic Communications in beautiful Paul Miller Building. Broadcast live on KXZY OSU Student Radio. And now, live from Studio 318, it's Border Battle with Jordan the Great King and CJ the Viking Notch.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ, or maybe you're watching it on Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle on Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show, or you're listening to us on OSU Student Radio KXZY. Regardless of any way you're listening to us, we appreciate you joining us today. Got a packed show. It's going to be fun. Fridays are kind of have been the fun show so far. It's going to stick with that theme this time. And also segment 2, Cam Jordan joins us again, OSU men's basketball beat reporter and Cowgirl tennis beat reporter, as well as sports editor for the Ocali. Excited to have him on for his second installment with Border Battle live on TV. So glad to have him back. Good friend of the show, and we're looking forward to that. That's segment 2, so stick around. Not too long, we'll be getting him on the show here. Chris, All-Star Game weekend. Fun weekend or no?
Oh, heck yes. I think it's fun just to watch these players just goof around and show off these random skills that they have.
Random skills like what?
It's kind of like the Steph Curry thing. They take more of these half-court shots, three-quarter shots. It's like they goof around, but they still hit these shots like they're not that hard. I mean, look at Steph Curry's pre-game warm-up all the time. He shoots these in-the-tunnel shots, and they go in.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a fun weekend overall. I'm not a huge fan. I probably won't watch any of the events.
See, I'd love to go to it. I think it'd be a cool event to watch everything.
I think it would be better in person, probably.
Right.
Probably. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the skills challenge and the 3-point and the dunk contest and all that good stuff a little bit later on. Right now, it's business time, Chris.
Let's get
LeBron
to it.
James, Steph Curry drafted their respective teams. Now we're gonna put their GM prowess against your GM prowess and my GM prowess, and we'll see who wins. Spoiler alert: it's probably gonna be me.
But we won't know till Monday.
We won't know till Monday. So that's the tease for Monday, is you get to come back and watch, see who actually won. But Chris, we're going to draft our teams starting right now. Off air, Chris and I did a coin flip. I won. I picked LeBron James. He picked Steph Curry. So we're going with who they drafted and the draft order. So I get to go first. Chris, instead of taking Kevin Durant, which was an extremely overrated and poor pick by LeBron James, I'm going to draft Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. He'll join LeBron James and already make this an unguardable starting lineup. Just those two.
You're just biased because you picked.
No.
Yes, that's why you picked Antetokounmpo. Admit it. You picked him because he plays for the Bucks.
Is he not one of the best players, if not the best player in the league this year?
No.
Interesting.
Not a chance.
Okay. All right.
My pick, we're keeping the Warriors intact right now. We're going Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
Durantula. Being you just let him go.
Yeah, it was a
you
good
made the
decision
mistake
by
by picking up Antetokounmpo, so
good decision by
leaves
me.
it open.
My team has 2 Twitter accounts. We don't know how many Twitter accounts your team has so far. So
good point.
So it comes back to me. If Giannis isn't this season's MVP, then James Harden is. So James Harden will be my next selection automatically. Again, I'm getting more and more unguardable for you, Chris.
Yeah, because you have height.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go with another good guard, scoring guard. I'm going to get Kyrie Irving. Guy's got handles. Man, he's going to make your big guys look like garbage.
Who are you going to guard me with? You're going to have Kyrie Irving down in the post with who?
Antetokounmpo.
Interesting tactic. Comes back around to me. I'm taking the brow Anthony Davis. This is a no-brainer for me. I think he's actually underrated by a lot of people.
I think because of injuries, but I'll counter that. Let's go with Joel Embiid. We got to counter big man for big man.
That's
like
he finally got some size. The only thing is who knows how long he can play in the game. I'm gonna take DeMar DeRozan. So here's the thing. Cousins
DeMarcus.
DeMarcus Cousins, pardon me. He got injured and was replaced with Paul George. So we had a little bit of a question on who will actually start for LeBron James' team. We qualified Paul George as a starter. So my last two picks here, it was between DeMar DeRozan and Paul George. I'm going DeMar DeRozan just because I think he's better. I think he can score a little bit better than Paul George, and you add him with James Harden and Giannis and LeBron James, all of a sudden, my team's got the scoring. By the way, Anthony Davis scored like 45 points the other night. So.
Well, yeah, that's all the Pelicans have right now.
Absolutely.
So, I got Paul George. Also, for those watching, they may wonder why, we aren't picking other guys on the reserves. It's because we're doing just the starting.
Yeah, we're picking it like
we're
they
just
had
the
to
start.
pick it.
Yeah, just like they did, and the reserves is what we'll get to now.
All right. Well, reserves comes up. Speaking of being biased and getting a homer pick, I was not allowed to take Karl Anthony Towns because Chris wanted Cat. So I took Jimmy Butler with my first reserve pick so that Chris could have Karl Anthony Towns on his team.
Marquette, Wisconsin. Look at that.
Yeah.
I know you love Marquette.
That's not the reason I took him. I took him because he can put the ball in the basket. That's why I took him. Okay, you get Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep, you're right. I picked Cat, hometown. You're right.
With my seventh pick, my second reserve pick, I picked the best point guard aside from Steph Curry in the All-Star game, Russell Westbrook. Not Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
I picked Russell Westbrook. Great value. Get him in the 7th round. I mean, are anyone still questioning my GM skills? Anyone?
Yeah, a little bit, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to be almost like a homer too. I'm going more Warriors. I'm going to pick up Klay Thompson. I need a sharp shooting 3-point shooter that can come off and score some buckets that Antetokounmpo can't shoot threes.
That's
or
fine.
anything like that. So, yeah, we got Thompson.
Well, here's a guy that can shoot threes, is a good all-around player, and is the glue to the rest of the Warriors team, so I couldn't let you get all 4 of them. So I'm going to take Draymond Green here. Draymond Green is my 8th selection, 3rd reserve. Great pick again.
But defense doesn't matter with Draymond. We've had this argument before. He's not a scoring guy. So what's he going to do?
He can make the 3 in the corner.
Yeah, every once in a blue moon, maybe.
He's a pretty good shooter.
But hey, you know what? I'm going to counter that. I'm going to go with Al Horford. The guy that, our friend Richard Denson actually said doesn't deserve to be here because he does all the little things and he didn't think he deserved to be an all-star. But we're going Al Horford.
And you take him in your 3rd reserve pick. Interesting tactic.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to go with more size. LaMarcus Aldridge. My team's just huge.
You're right. That's fine. I'll just somehow defeat you with all my shooters. Now I'm going to pick up. Let's do Victor Oladipo.
See, this pick really irritates me, Chris, because I was going to pick Victor Oladipo. You have no history of even liking Victor Oladipo. I'm a big Victor Oladipo fan. I was angry when the Thunder got rid of him, and now you're stealing him off my team.
Yeah, well, you're taking all the big guys, so I figured it's fair.
All right. Well, like you said, I have all big guys, so I'm going to go with a shooter, a guard. We're going to go Bradley Beal, just a scorer, pure scorer. He can put the ball in the bucket. That's what my team is. We score.
You score. Well, I'm going to add that to my realm as well. I'm going to pick up Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers because
average
all
player.
he does is shoot.
Average player.
Average?
No,
maybe on defense.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Damian Lillard is one of the greatest scorers in the game today, and I think this was probably a problem for me. I should have drafted him earlier than this, but congratulations, I gave you Damian Lillard. Kemba Walker, he's a great scorer, but here's why he slips down to the last 4 picks. You're not going to be able to shoot 35 times in the All-Star game. Sorry,
right.
Kemba.
Yeah.
There's 11 other players that need to get shots in the All-Star game. So I don't think he scores that much, actually, in the All-Star game. But I'll take him because he can be a volume scorer.
Yeah, and I think we can say, too, real quick with these last 4, it was kind of a tougher pick because these last 4, I think, some of them were actually just substitutes for other players like Kristaps Porzingis and the others that, were injured. But there's one other good kind of point guard left. It's Kyle Lowry. So I'm going to pick him up because, I need a floor general as well for the reserves.
Yeah, that's I'm not a huge Kyle Lowry fan. I think he's worse than Damian Lillard is, and I don't even know if I put him up by like Kemba Walker, but I'm not. That's just me with Kyle Lowry. I don't know exactly what it is about him. I just never have liked him. So
fair enough.
My last pick, this is the ultimate value pick. This guy should have been selected way higher in the draft. This is Andre Drummond, and let me read you some stats here, Chris.
Oh, here
15.7 boards per game. 15.1 points per game. 15 and 15 this guy averages. Absolute monster on the glass. Just a great player all around. And he'll service my team well.
Yeah, everyone's going to get rebounds on this. Let's be real. Everyone's going to shoot. No one plays defense. So you got all these big guys.
That means you have opportunities to get rebounds on the shots.
Yeah, well, they won't get many rebounds from my team because we're all going to make our shots. The only guy, I got the last pick here. In a sense, I feel like he's the guy everyone was just going to, whoever had to pick last was going to get him. But I got Goran Dragic, who I forget who he replaced, but I guess I got another point guard. Yes, I'm very guard heavy for those watching. I know.
Well, let's recap, Chris. Let's see Chris's lineup here. He starts off with Steph, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid, and Paul George. And then on defense, on the reserves, you got Cat, Klay Thompson, Horford, Oladipo, Leather. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of guard play, but you also have some stretch guys like Durant, Embiid, maybe
Horford.
to a certain extent George. But like Horford and Karl Anthony Towns and Durant and Embiid, those guys are gonna have to play a ton of minutes for you because it's all guards other than those guys.
Yeah, and I you know, it'd be a sweet like starting five, or that would come in and be like Durant, Embiid, Cat, Horford, and then you'd have, I don't know, Paul George. Like if you have like all these tall guys, just big,
And you're still smaller than my starting five, probably.
I wouldn't say that.
Giannis, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, James Harden, DeMar DeRozan. That's my starting five. That's pretty big starting five, man. And then you look at on the bench, I still have Draymond Green on the bench. He's a stretch guy. LaMarcus Aldridge is a big guy. You got Andre Drummond. He's a big guy. All my reserves, you know, most of my reserves are guards, but I only have two guards in my starting lineup. And I think here's what I'm worried about, Chris. I will say this, a little disclaimer. I'm worried because I think in a series of 7, my team wins in 5 games. In a competitive series of 7, I think my team wins in 5 games. In the All-Star game, I think you could maybe double my points. I'm a little worried about that because I think you look at my guys and it's like, which one of these guys is actually going to go nuts? Westbrook could. Giannis could potentially.
Harden.
Yeah, but like if I don't get 60 points from Harden, I don't think I win this. That's my only worry about this.
Or you deal with Bradley Beal, who's just going to shoot, which he's kind of like that Kemba Walker thing.
That's the other problem. If Beal and Walker are in the game, no one's going to touch the ball. So that's maybe I shouldn't have drafted those two. But yeah, I mean, I think in a competitive series, I have the advantage because you can't guard me.
I don't know. It'll be interesting, and to kind of to say how we're scoring this, I guess for the people for Mondays and stuff, is we're doing it by the players we picked, how many points they score, and then the total points in that realm. If we have to go to tiebreakers, we can go farther on. But I believe that's what we kind of agreed on.
That's what we're going to do. We will have a multiplier. We'll have some sort of factor for minutes because these guys are not on separate teams. So there's a chance that your team could add up to 100 more minutes than my team. And if that happens, obviously, we'll have to switch it around. I'm hoping because we drafted starters, reserves, it'll kind of help with that. But we're still going to have that factor just in case, like, if Giannis goes down in the first quarter and all of a sudden my team goes, like, down, like, 40 minutes to your team, that's, like, completely unfair. So
I just love this, though, because you're getting all, big-headed, like, oh, yeah, my team's going to do it.
Well, it's going to win.
But yet now you're freaking out about minutes.
Well, absolutely. It could happen to either of us, Chris.
I'm not worried about it. I don't care if you have 20 more minutes than my players do. We'll still outscore you.
Very good luck to you then. I'm just saying, to make it fair, to put it on a level playing field, you have to take into account minutes played. You do.
All right.
That's how it is. That's how basketball works, Chris. You have to keep it like somewhat even. You know what I mean? So it's like I guess I understand what you mean, but you have to keep it somewhat on a level playing field. So that's what I think. All right. Well, that's not the only NBA All-Star talk we'll have. A little bit later, we'll get some more of that talk in. But next, we have Cam Jordan, Ocali sports editor, joining us, talk some Cowboy basketball and Cowgirl tennis. All of that coming up next on the Border Battle on KXZY. Welcome back into Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ on OSU Student Radio, KXZY. Otherwise, you're watching on Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube On Demand, or Facebook.com/Border Battle Show. Welcome back to segment 2 here. Chris, he's CJ, I'm King. And between us, we have Cam Jordan, Ocali sports editor. Cam, second appearance on the show. First one to notch the second appearance. Congratulations, and thanks for carving out a few minutes for us.
Yeah, nice to be back. Can't wait to talk.
All right, so you were in, did you catch the end of the last segment?
Oh, I did.
Looking at those two teams, Cam, who do you have? Because I'm starting to hear voices in the studio say Jordan by 90. I'm not really sure if that's true, but what are you hearing?
So I think you kind of proved your point earlier. You said that if your team was in a 7-game series, you'd probably win in 5. But in the All-Star game, I've got to go with the scoring. I got to go with CJ's team.
All right.
I got to go with the scoring in an All-Star game.
All right, that's fair. I did put that disclaimer out there, but
See, I found someone not scared of you, Jordan. Everyone else must be scared of you, so
they're
just
not scared. They're Chris. They know basketball. That's what it is. I'm not questioning Cam Jordan's basketball knowledge, but Cam, speaking of basketball, this basketball team, I think the word that I use is consistently inconsistent. You know, this team goes on the road. They win. They have that big win against OU at home. They go on the road to tough places, Lawrence and Morgantown. They win there. But then they get these games at home against Baylor, a team they should beat, Kansas State, a team they should probably beat. TCU on the road is probably should be a winnable game for them this weekend. What's the problem with the consistency of this team, do you see?
You just said it. It's inconsistency. They show up to Lawrence and they play a really good 40 minutes of basketball, and then they come back home against Baylor and just look like they did in the second half of the game in Waco when they were leading by 1 at halftime, and then just got pulverized in the second half. Similar thing happened on Wednesday against Kansas State as well. They just kind of looked lethargic, out of energy. Kansas State kind of took an early lead, and OSU couldn't claw its way back into the game.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, is that something that's just like you expend so much energy on these home wins, or what is it that you come back and you have such a let off, especially with as much push from the team there was to get people in the seats, for Tuesday's game?
I honestly think one of the big things is that Barry Trim with the Oklahoma wrote a great column about it. It's the fact that Gallagher-Iba Arena doesn't have that big of a home court advantage anymore. And a big part of that is because of the students, the alumni, fans in general not going to games. But then again, the team has just been so inconsistent at home, it's really hard for a lot of the fans to buy back into the program after being, I guess you could say, having to deal with 3 coaches in 3 years and the possible turmoil within the program at the beginning of the season. It's really hard for fans to buy into that if the team is not going to play consistently enough.
So obviously we did just talk about inconsistency and all that, and we kind of touched on it with the fans. But we went to West Virginia. When we played Florida State, Kansas, all road games against ranked teams. They're in packed arenas. They pull out these upsets. Is part of the issue too with this team is just like kind of what you touched on with this fan base of not having fans come in. Is it one of those things when a player runs out on a tunnel, it's your home court, GIA, and you see like no one there, but you can go to a road game and it's packed, even if it's not your fans? Like, is that maybe something too that's been an issue, maybe just mentally with the team?
I think definitely. I think when you show up to any arena, you expect to have a full crowd there supporting you, especially if you're at home with the history that Gallagher-Iba Arena has. I got to the game about 20 minutes before tip-off on Wednesday, and there were maybe 2,000 people in there. Now, the crowd filled in. They had listed attendance at 7,017, which may have been that high, but it was definitely tickets sold, but I don't know if there are actually 7,000 people in seats. But I think it's definitely hard for the players when they come out there and they see that there's more empty seats than there are people in seats. They're shooting wide open shots, but they're not as open as the seats in the stands. It's something that could definitely affect them. And then when they go to a place like Allen Fieldhouse, West Virginia Coliseum, they see all these fans packed in there. The energy is different. It gives you a different vibe when you walk out on the court to play a game.
Something I've always said is for teams to have success come March, come in the NCAA tournament, NIT, whatever it is, you have to be able to win on the road. You have to be able to win in neutral locations because that's what the NCAA tournament is after all. And this team does that. They go to they beat Florida State on a neutral court. They play well at Arkansas. They beat West Virginia on the road, beat Kansas on the road. is it disappointing for this team to know that they could potentially, if given the opportunity, have success in March, but the thing is it's looking less and less like they're actually going to get there?
It's definitely troublesome because I mean the key is inconsistency. You come out these last 2 Saturdays and you dominate. One of the things that we discussed after the game is that OSU hasn't won a weekday game in Gallagher Iba Arena since December 22nd against UT Rio Grande Valley. Now, in Big 12 play, all their wins have come on Saturdays. Oklahoma, Iowa State, Texas, Kansas, West Virginia. It's weird, the inconsistency from home and road.
And so do you feel part of it too is just the scheduling as a whole, maybe? Because, I feel like, some of these, I was talking to some other people with, Oklahoma, most towns are spread out more. Most of our fans, let's say, are from Oklahoma City or Tulsa. They're coming from different parts of Oklahoma. Is that part of it too is with these weekday games, it's just so hard to get fans in. If it's a 6 o'clock tip off, if you have an hour drive, if you live in the city, you got to take off work early, something like that. Like, is it one of those things too with the Big 12 is kind of, at least OSU, is, these weekday games, that's also what's maybe hindering this?
That can definitely be an issue because, the Big 12 schedule itself is a gauntlet. And then when you have families who are trying to drive from Tulsa or trying to drive from Oklahoma City for a 6 o'clock tip-off, it could be hard because you have to pick up the kids from work, you have to find time to get dinner, and then you have to make the commute, and it can be difficult. There may be other reasons why families or fans decide not to come, but that's definitely could be a big influence too, especially from people coming from Oklahoma City. If the Thunder are playing, the Thunder hasn't helped college basketball in this state whatsoever.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you as far as that goes. Overall, what do you see the rest of this season looking like, shaking out to be for this team?
They're going to have to, if they want to get into the NCAA tournament, 5 games left, you're going to have to win at least 3 of them. So Iowa State on the road is a game. They've already beat Iowa State. Now, overtime, you're probably going to have to beat them. You're going to have to beat one of Texas Tech or Kansas in Gallagher Iba, and then you're going to have to either win at TCU tomorrow or win at Texas next weekend. You gotta at least win 2 of the road games and at least 1 of the home games. That's what I think.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to move totally away from basketball, but we've got a lot of basketball talk on this show over the past couple days. You're also the Cowgirl tennis beat reporter, and over the past couple days I've had a couple different things that I've pleased to the Oklahoma State fan base, if you will. One of them is go fill up GIA not only for men's games but fill it up for women's games because that team deserves more than 1,700 fans against number 3 Baylor.
Oh, definitely.
And the other one is don't sleep on these spring sports because a lot of them, some of these programs are amongst the best that we have at this school. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. The Cowgirl tennis team just had its best win ever at Greenwood Tennis Center. They beat number 3 Florida last week. Beat them 4-3. Came back. They were down 3-1. Senior Megan McCrae actually had a 3-set victory. She was down 5 games to 1 in the final set. Came back and won 7-5. It was a really impressive win. It's kind of the second time OSU this year has come back from down. They were down 3-0 to Arizona State. Came back and won 4-3 in the ITA kickoff weekend about 3 weeks ago, and then they beat Florida last week. I definitely think that it's really important to get out to all the sports around Oklahoma State and go support them. And usually Greenwood Tennis Center doesn't have a problem. Tennis fans are really energetic. They get into the games, and it's one of the best atmospheres if you haven't been to Greenwood Tennis Center before.
Yeah, that's what you might get almost tired, from the long football season, and then like I said, there was almost just 2 segments. There's the diehard rabid wrestling fans, and then there's the diehard basketball fans. And after those long seasons, you get to spring, tennis, baseball, golf, softball, all these teams. I think golf's ranked number 1 right now. All these teams have plenty of talent, but for this particular team, obviously they don't make the ITAs. Miami this weekend, another ranked team, number 17, I believe, and then Pacific on Sunday. What do they have to get out of this weekend? Obviously they can back up that Florida win nicely with Miami coming to town.
Definitely. The big thing for them tomorrow against Miami at 10:30 is they got to continue the consistency of the Florida match. They came off a really big win. They actually had a week off because they didn't go to the ITAs for the first time in 3 years. So they're going to have to come out quickly. They've struggled in doubles. They've lost 4 consecutive doubles points, which is something that OSU hasn't done traditionally. 2 years ago, OSU, when they were national runners-up, they lost 1 doubles point all season, and now they've lost 4 in a row. It's definitely the weakness of their team so far, but they've had they switched up the lineups a couple weeks ago. They've had another additional week of practice, so that's one thing that they'll have to definitely improve especially against Miami. And then in singles lineups, courts 5 and 6 have kind of been up and down. You'll get a couple wins, but then you'll get a couple losses. Coach Chris Young has been looking for more consistency, especially out of those 2 courts, because courts 1 and 4 have been the Cowgirls' best this season. And
we'll get to your question in a second, Chris. Sorry. I do want to say, though, I'm a little disappointed they didn't make it to the ITAs, because in Madison, Wisconsin, I was ready to make the trek up. Me and Cam were going to road trip, and nope, they couldn't make the ITAs. So disappointing on my end, too.
Hey, it happens. Wisconsin just
back to my stomping grounds,
right? But to kind of go off consistency, so the Cowgirls, they spent 64 tennis team, I'd say, they spent 64 consecutive weeks in the ITA top 25. They've been doing it since I believe it was like March 18th of 2014.
Yeah.
What does that attest to the job like Coach Young has been doing, with recruiting and just this whole team as a whole? What has that kind of been saying about them?
He's done a tremendous job. I think one of the biggest things that you can see with him is the senior class who graduated last year: Victoria Leshkova, Katerina Adamovic, and Carla Tomari. 3 of the most glorified seniors that's ever come through here. All the awards they've won, all the records that they've set, and then he loses them. He also lost 2 to-be sophomores who are going to be arguably 1 and 2 in the singles lineups, and one of them is actually ranked 3rd in singles right now. She transferred schools, Aliona Bolsova. So the fact that he lost 5 of his 8 players from last season and has rebuilt the team to where they just knocked off Florida for the first time in program history, also the defending national champions, it speaks to itself how well of a job he has done.
When we're talking building a program, I think it's something that both of these programs here, Mike Boynton, try and take the next step here in basketball, and you mentioned tennis trying to sustain. What's harder to do, build or sustain?
Probably sustain, because eventually you're going to get the right athletes in place, which is what Coach Boynton is trying to do right now. He hasn't even had a chance to recruit his own class yet. He did a little bit at the end of last year, I guess you could say, but he's got to build his own. He's got to build what he wants. His image of OSU basketball is what he wants to build, and it's going to take a couple years. What Coach Young is doing at tennis, having to continue to bring in the best tennis athletes in the world, having to continue to take your program to try to take it to the next step when you've already been national runners-up before, and that's why he's trying to schedule these Florida matches, these Miami matches early in the season, so when Big 12 play comes around and Texas Tech and Texas come, you're ready to face those teams and you're ready to play in those matchups.
Overall, real quick here, what do you think? Is it a little easier? Is there more tennis talent out there? It's a worldwide sport. Is there more tennis talent out there? Do you have to worry less about like having Texas poaching one of your top basketball or football recruits?
Yeah, it's definitely less, because coaches travel all around the country looking for recruits, and it's a little bit, I guess you would say, easier to recruit, but it is kind of harder because you have to convince girls from other countries and from different cultures and backgrounds to come to OSU to play tennis, to Stillwater, Oklahoma. So that can be the most difficult thing about it.
All right. Well, Cam, thank you very much for joining us. Again, Cam Jordan, sports editor for the Ocali. Check him out. Twitter at Cameron Jordan. Is that it?
It's at Cam_Jordan.
Cam_Jordan. So that's where you can find him on Twitter. Go give him a follow. He would appreciate it, and he's a good follow. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, CJ and I will get you caught up on what we got caught up on, including some news on the NFL front and a sport you've probably never heard of. We'll tell you all about that next. This is OSU Student Radio. This is the Border Battle on KXZY.
Hi, I'm Gina Noble, and I'm the mayor of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stillwater, Oklahoma is anything but still. We are a vibrant community, and we are conveniently located near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Wichita, Kansas. We're the home of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and we serve as the cultural, economic, and athletic hub for North Central Oklahoma. In fact, several Quality of Life magazines have recognized Stillwater as one of the nation's 100 top places to live and one of the best places to golf. Established in the land run in 1889, Stillwater is a safe, vibrant community. It boasts a great educational system from K through 12, all the way up to our world-class university, Oklahoma State University. We have an exceptional downtown, With a strong entrepreneurial spirit, numerous city parks and trails, and our medical resources are second to none. Stillwater is a wonderful place to begin your career, to start a business, to raise a family, or to retire. We invite you to visit Stillwater because we are anything but still.
Think you're not involved in your community? Think again. Spending your money with local businesses is more than an economic choice. It's a way you can have a say in the look and feel of your hometown. This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in the Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to The Border Battle with King and CJ. I'm King, he's CJ. You can be watching us on Channel 112, Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle On Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show, or OSU Student Radio KXZY. Chris, we just saw there the Colts got their man. Well, sort of. Not their first guy, but they get Frank Reich to take the head coaching job. Considering the circumstances, is this a good hire?
I think it is. It's one of those things at the same time you have to look at it as the Colts were against the clock, like from the get-go. But I think so. I think a little interesting storyline too is and it happens all the time with Super Bowl teams. But look, the Eagles win a Super Bowl, they lose their quarterback's coach, now they lose their offensive coordinator. It's kind of interesting how that always seems to work. That they pick from a Super Bowl winning team and they hope that's the right thing to do.
That's the way you do it, man. You got to poach off of Super Bowl winning teams. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did that with Malik Jackson. Some of the signings. So you saw obviously not Josh McDaniels. They get Frank Reich. It's a good signing for them or a good hire for them, I should say, because. Look what he just was able to do with Nick Foles. And by the way, there were a lot of people concerned with how Carson Wentz would play in the NFL. He was not sold. He did not sell himself to a lot of people. And Frank Reich was able to turn him into an MVP candidate. If he doesn't tear his ACL, you can make a legitimate argument that he beats out Tom Brady for MVP. Carson Wentz does.
I totally agree. And now you have to look, okay, Carson Wentz is coming back. Now he's got to learn another new system. He doesn't have his quarterback's coach anymore. I think Carson Wentz now is an even bigger question for a concern because you're first coming off an injury, an ACL injury, to say the least, and now you lose your quarterback's coach and your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, what could help Carson Wentz, and normally this is not a benefit, but what could help him is he might not play next year. He tore his ACL so late in the season. Is he going to be comfortable enough to come back next year? Are the Eagles going to be in a situation where they want to bring him back and risk another injury, or further injury, whatever? So I think that could potentially help him get into a new system. But the only thing that is concerning from a Carson Wentz perspective is we've now gotten so caught up with Adrian Peterson, for example. He tears his ACL and comes back in record time. And then Jamal Charles sort of comes back really, really quickly. And all these guys that come back super quickly, and now it's sort of become the norm, and that can't necessarily be the norm with guys. You got to give these guys time to heal. So, but I want to get back to the Colts side of this because I think that's what's probably a little bit more important.
Yep.
Because they're trying to turn their franchise back around, right? And is this a guy who can take you all the way, or is this a guy that is going to be a stepping stone for your team?
I think it'll start as a stepping stone. It's hard to say. A fun and interesting fact I actually just found here while pulling stuff up is he actually spent 6 seasons with the Colts earlier in the early, kind of late 2000s when he interned for the offensive assistant, the quarterback's coach, a receiving coach. So I don't know. I think it'll be for sure a stepping stone. He may be able to figure things out and take them to the promised land. It's one of those things. it's too hard to tell because he was such an unknown person until the Eagles, basically, I guess, got noticed going to the Super Bowl and everything.
Yeah, speaking of unknowns, Andrew Luck is now an unknown. He remains to be an unknown, I should say. He not really sure about him because is he going to be back? Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be Andrew Luck? And I think these are all legitimate questions that you have to ask because this doesn't happen normally. It's not normally where you got a guy who goes, who is on such a good trajectory like Andrew Luck is, one of the best quarterbacks in the game when he was him.
Right.
And now you have all these concerns about it. So I think that's another question mark surrounding the Colts, and they'll obviously have to answer it. And I'm sure they'll do just fine, but you do have to worry about the team that surrounds Andrew Luck. So big offseason for the Colts. I think this is a good hire to start off with, but plenty more work to do, Chris. Chris, this next story is a fun one. Go back up to my home state of Wisconsin, a long-standing tradition. We saw the highlight there going into the break from WBAY, I believe it was. It's a big sturgeon. Chris, can you spell sturgeon? No, looking at the graphic.
Sturgeon.
You just cheated. You just cheated, Chris. You just taught everyone out there watching that cheating's okay. Cheating is not okay.
Yeah, but they would have never known that if you wouldn't have said anything.
Chris, cheaters never win, man. Cheaters never win. All right, well, sturgeon. That's what a sturgeon is. And in Wisconsin, tons and tons of people go out onto Lake Winnebago, which is 15 minutes away from where I'm from, and they drive their trucks out on the ice, take their chainsaw out, big hole, and they just sit there and wait. Yep. That's pretty much it. You sit there and wait. It's
you place your bait and you wait for it to come around.
Kind of boring. You get out a pack of Coors Light and you have a good weekend, I guess.
Wait,
I don't
Coors
really
Light, not like Old Milwaukee, not Miller's
Not Old
Light,
Milwaukee.
None of that.
Enough of the Old Milwaukee talk out of you, Chris. Enough of that, okay? So we got Coors. You get all set up with whatever your beverage of choice might be, and you sit there and you watch a hole. You sit for a weekend looking down. That's all you do.
So let me ask you: have you ever gone?
I have not.
I mean, yeah, you're fishing for sturgeon, but you're spear fishing is what you're doing.
Yeah, so you take a trident, essentially, is what it is, and it has a detachable head. So you throw that down in the water when you see the sturgeon, and sturgeon swims away. You got that tied to a rope, and you pull it in, and hopefully land the sturgeon. And for this man, 85.4 inches long. Wisconsin state record. Now, I will say this, it is not the record in weight. It is still about 70 pounds lighter. As big as that fish was, you saw going to break, 70 pounds lighter than the Wisconsin state record, if you can believe that, which is pretty incredible. So, Chris, is there anything in Minnesota that's like this?
Like that spearing, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like
because I mean,
fish
I actually live right by a lake too, and I know actually one of my neighbors, he goes spear fishing all the time. I don't know if they always go spear fishing for sturgeon.
I mean, is there like a tradition where like hundreds of thousands of people probably flood a lake and go fishing?
Eel Pout. It's up in Walker. It about triples in size of the actual city. There's like 3,000 people, and it triples. And they go out on the lake and they fish for eel pout, and it's a interesting thing. It turns more into a party fest on the lake, really more than anything. But that's a big thing in Minnesota. If anyone from Minnesota's watching, they'll know eel pout.
Okay.
Or look it up if you're interested.
That's what I think is so interesting about this, is learning about those different things, because sturgeon spearing is like a holiday. A lot of people think the Super Bowl is a holiday. Sturgeon spearing is a holiday for a lot of people in Wisconsin, and I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to be a poser and pretend that I've ever been sturgeon spearing. I think that would be boring. But you know what? It's for the people that love it, you can't knock it. I mean, that's why I'm not a hunter either. I never went hunting because I'm not. I can't sit there in a stand and something like that. But man, you take a look at these fish and how old a lot of these fish are is pretty incredible.
Right. No, yeah. And see, to go off of the hunting thing, I don't hunt either, but I love to fish. And granted, I think it helps if you, like, I grew up like the lake's right next to the farm that I grew up on, so we always could go fishing kind of whenever we wanted. So I think that always kind of.
I love fishing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy fishing. There's something about sitting on a bucket for 3 or 4 days straight, just staring down and wrecking my back and neck for a weekend.
So you're just not a fan of ice fishing, is what you're saying? Like you like fishing out of a boat per se.
I don't mind ice fishing, but it's like not all ice fishing is because this
just
is
not spear fishing. Then
this
just
is not
spear
like
fishing is what you're saying, really, in a sense,
Well,
because ice fishing either you have tip ups or you're
well, and like you can feel where they are. This is not
Right.
like you put down bait and you just sit there and not pay attention. You have to be watching in the water. If you take your eyes off the water for 10 seconds, that's the other thing. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Pardon me. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I took off if I went out for 2 minutes to go grab a broad off the grill. I would feel like, and I didn't see a sturgeon the rest of the week, I would say, you know what? It swam by that 2 minutes. The 2 minutes I was out of the
whether
shack.
you saw it or not. That's
Yep.
what you'd assume.
That's what I would assume. I would never be able to live with myself. But yeah, so that's a big tradition. I think it's a cool one. But that's always fun to kind of learn about different ones because obviously Wisconsin has the sturgeon one. You talked about the one in
eel pout.
yeah in Minnesota. So that's all fun and I think it's cool that there are these different traditions. So I wanted to throw that in there because it was something I saw. This is after all ticker topics.
Yeah.
So any other ticker topics that you saw, Chris? There were some today. Like from yesterday, that could have gone on here. You know what I mean? It was like Arizona cheerleader gets ejected from the game for shouting through the megaphone.
Yeah. I know we don't have a lot of time here. Quick, we gotta wrap it up. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Like you get kicked out for doing that. Like, come on.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. So we gotta take a break. We'll be right back as promised. More All-Star selections coming up, including why my pick for MVP is gonna be the right one. We'll make all those picks next on the Border Battle on KXZY.
What is arts and sciences?
We aren't all about the arts.
We like to think of ourselves as explorers.
From exploring the human mind
to discerning the building blocks of the universe.
We don't just read books.
We don't just sit in the classroom.
And we don't just solve problems.
We seek to give everyone a voice.
In a variety of approaches.
We tackle the big issues.
By understanding complex social structures.
And even understand the small ones.
We take passions to new heights.
But stay grounded.
We tell stories.
Of the past.
Of the present.
And work to predict the future.
We like to think with a little preparation. Some dirt under the fingernails.
And some self-analysis. You can do anything.
With nearly 100 degree plans to choose from.
Where will your arts and science degree take you?
Connect, achieve, succeed.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ. I'm King, he's CJ. Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle On Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show, or OSU Student Radio KXCY. Chris, we promised them more picks. We should probably give them more picks.
Let's do it, man. How about you go first?
I will go first.
Yeah, okay. So let's we're gonna do 3-point contest first. Who do you got?
Devin Booker. And here's the weird thing about Devin Booker. He is nowhere to be found in the top 20 as far as 3-point percentage goes, Chris.
Really?
No. Which I'm not going to regret this pick, though. He is a cold-blooded shooter, and he's one of the best. And I stand by this pick no matter what. But your pick is?
My pick is Klay Thompson.
Shooting 45.4% from three-point, the best in the NBA.
Let's also put in there our producer, Landon.
Yes.
I think he wanted to pick Paul George, I believe. Not sure if he wanted to confirm that, but he was saying he was hitting his 3-point shots, in the past few games.
Yeah, he was trying to sway one of our opinions, and it didn't work.
George, yeah.
He's got to work on pitching that stuff to us. So, yeah, I'm going to have to. Paul George, by the way, tied for 7th in the NBA with 3-point percentage. So, interesting names in the 3-point percentage or 3-point shooting contest, but I'm going to go with Devin Booker. You go Klay Thompson. Skills challenge, I'm going with the all-around, do-it-all. We already mentioned his stats. Andre Drummond, he's a beast from Detroit. A beast, Chris. 15 boards, 15 points. He can do it all.
Hey, that's fine. You can do that. I'm going to do Al Horford. Again, man who can do a little bit of everything. I will say, too, it was interesting because, usually the skills thing is more for big men, but they do have a few guards in there. So it's kind of like an interesting concept. Like, what do you do?
It's interesting because it used to be more guard heavy.
Right. And now it's the opposite.
It used to be like Steve Nash and Chris Paul and all them guys. And now you have Andre Drummond, who is not Steve Nash by any means.
I like it because I think it gives it a different aspect when you're doing a skills challenge because, like, these big men have to dribble in between, like, cone-shaped players and stuff and do stuff that they don't usually do in a game. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Cone-shaped players, huh?
They're like they're. I'm not even gonna. Yeah.
Player-shaped cones. I think is what you
cones.
meant.
Thank you.
All right, Chris. We'll move on to the dunk before we say anything else. The dunk contest, Chris. Who do you got? Because I'm gonna win this one.
You are not gonna win this one. I've got the high-flying Donovan Mitchell, who came out of nowhere from
Never
the
heard
Jazz. Exactly, came out of nowhere. He's now led his team for 11 games in a row with the scoring leader. And I mean, look at this dunk right here as you're watching it. Like, that's
By the way,
great
Chris,
tomahawk slam.
I do want to say this: Utah, those jerseys. If someone out there wants to give me a gift, man, those are sweet jerseys.
You
the
got
sunset.
that right.
Do they call them sunset jerseys? That's what I would call them. I don't know who named them, but if they didn't name them sunset,
well, maybe for the Phoenix Suns, yeah, then you want to say the sunset.
They just made a mistake there. So
yeah,
this guy can get up, Chris. This guy can get up. I understand that, but so can Victor Oladipo. Now, part of this is me saying I love Oladipo. I think he can get up. He's super athletic. Hated him when he was at Indiana for that 1 year, but loved him ever since he's been in the NBA. Part of this is me loving him, and part of this is me spiting the Oklahoma City Thunder for getting rid of Victor Oladipo because look at this guy. He's a freak, and he should not be able to get up like this. He should not be able to get up like that. He's one of the most incredible athletes. By the way, he can do it all. He could very well win a skills challenge, too. So he's an all-around guy. I'm glad he got selected to the All-Star game. Like I said, should have been on my team, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I'm going with him for the dunk contest.
I will say this, too, not to get too out of our picks here, but I think, too, Oladipo was one of those players he needed a different spot. He maybe didn't fit in with the Thunder, but he's consistently gotten better the longer he's been in the league.
Yeah, he's one of them guys that's like, he can be the guy. So I think it might have been a little bit of a mismatch having him with Russell Westbrook. But, I mean, look, you're not going to get rid of Russell Westbrook when it comes down to it. Victor Oladipo is going to be the one that's expendable. So whether you agree with that or not, I think that's what was the thinking of Sam Presti getting rid of Victor Oladipo. So I go Oladipo, you go Donovan Mitchell. Rising Stars Challenge, Chris. Here it's the Internationals versus the USA. So you get 2 picks. We're going to be nice. You get 2 picks. Who do you have from the USA side?
USA side, I have Jason Tatum. I don't know. The thing is, and like when you look at the rosters that they have, it's really hard to really choose who's going to stick out. The best.
Yeah.
But what do you got?
I'm going Kyle Kuzma because I like Kyle Kuzma. I like what the Lakers are building over there in LA. I'm a big Lonzo Ball fan. I'm a big Kuzma fan. And when they add LeBron James and Paul George come the summer, now I said that was not Magic Johnson. You don't got to find Magic Johnson for what I said. But I think the Lakers are headed in the right direction. Kuzma's a big part of that. He still comes off the bench and he's averaging north of 15 points a game, I believe. So he's a key cog in that. I think he'll be a key cog in this game. I also have Lauri Markkanen from the Bulls. I think he's one of the leaders for Rookie of the Year across the entire NBA, so I think it makes sense to pick him as far as if the international team wins.
Yeah, and I guess with that, I got to go with Joel Embiid because I think he's, it's that same thing. He's right up there. Granted, now he's like a 4-year pro, but he's only played, I think it was third season now. Yeah. I don't really remember how they pick, how long you've been in the league for these teams.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I pick Markkanen, you pick Embiid, and I also have Kuzma. These are all like stretch guys. These are like the new age big guy in the NBA. You got to be able to stretch, got to be able to hit the jump shot, got to be able to hit threes. All of those guys can do that. And then Jason Tatum, obviously one of, if not the best young guard in basketball.
And I think he can take Markkanen possibly for Rookie of the Year too. I think those two, I think for what Tatum's done with Boston is phenomenal as well.
The thing that I give the edge to when it comes to Markkanen versus a Tatum argument, for example, is Tatum's going to have the better team season, but he also has Kyrie Irving. Like when he's
more talent around him.
Right. He's not expected to shoulder the load scoring. He's not expected to shoulder the load ball handling wise. Any of that. That's all falls on Kyrie Irving's, and it should because he wanted to be the star. So it falls on his shoulders. Now, I do think when it comes down to it, Jason Tatum makes Kyrie Irving a better player. By the way, Jason Tatum, as long as I have these up here, I might as well say it, 12th in the league in 3-point percentage, shooting 42.7%. So, I mean, you look at that from a guy as young as he is, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Well, the last one, Chris, is the celebrity game. This is a fun game. I love this game. And if there is a game that I will watch this weekend, it'll be the celebrity game. Who do you have in the celebrity game?
For my MVP, I have the Jason White Chocolate Williams. The man's got handles. Let's be real here. Anyone that's
what else does
watching,
he have?
He's got handles. I don't know. He can score. I think he's gonna be great. Yeah, he's older, but he'll be team leader, and he's gonna deliver for Team Clippers.
All right. Well, I got NBA 2K TV host Rachel Demita as mine simply because this is her second Celebrity All-Star game, Chris. She's got the experience now. She's going to be able to go out there. She's going to be comfortable on the LA court, the spotlight, everything that goes with that. She's got more than just handles that Jason Williams, that's his only claim to fame. So she's going to win the MVP of the
she's
Celebrity
played college ball.
Yeah.
She's played Old Dominion.
It's not like she's just some
celebrity
girl, some girl that was just given a microphone and said, "You're the 2K host." Like, she's got some basketball background too. That's why that she got picked for the second time. So she had like 8 points last time. So I mean, she could go off this time.
Yeah,
so
it's hard to say.
I think great pick by me.
Yeah.
So we'll recap our picks here: 3-point, skills, dunk, rising stars, and celebrity. Which one are you most confident in, Chris?
Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
Yep.
I would say for you that is probably the best one.
What about for you then?
It's between Markkanen. I would probably say Markkanen and Kuzma, that combo, because I think both of those guys are going to be the best player on their teams.
You mean you don't have confidence in Andre Drummond, the guy you're just
no? I do.
I do. 15 and 15, and yet you don't have confidence in him.
I do. No. I would say Andre Drummond. I have about 85% confidence in. That just shows how much confidence I have in Kuzma and Markkanen. Honestly, I mean, is that bad? I think I make a pretty good point there.
I don't, but
All right. Well, we agree to disagree as we do many times on this show,
Yeah.
Chris. So let's do the last thing here, the big one, the mother of them all, Chris, the MVP of the All-Star game. Now, you were thinking about selecting one of my players from my team because I did such a good job drafting it, but you end up selecting someone from your own team. You go Kyrie Irving. Why?
Kyrie Irving. And we were doing these off of, like, our teams we picked.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I said Kyrie, and then after I picked it, I realized I had Durant on my team as well, and I blew that one. But, no, I think Kyrie, being a guard, he can, he's going to handle the point. He's going to do a little bit of everything. Get flashy with his handles. I mean,
Chris, did you not accuse me in the first round, in the first segment when we picked, that it's not about doing everything? It's about scoring.
Right, and Kyrie can score.
Okay.
Draymond is not Kyrie Irving.
I'm not picking Draymond, Chris.
Oh, I would hope not.
I'm picking the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. One of the greatest players. He's a generational talent.
You are so biased towards Antetokounmpo. You
I'm
have
not
like
even a
some
Bucks-
like
I'm not even like a
love
diehard
relationship
Bucks
with
fan.
this guy.
I'm
Like
not
it-
even.
No, you're just mad at the Bucks because they lost last night.
I'm not. By the way,
Yes,
Giannis,
you are.
Giannis had like 38 points last night.
Okay.
So
Oh,
that's
my.
good enough for an All-Star MVP. Yeah.
Just for that.
I would say at least 40 points for Giannis. If we're talking about percentage of
On what?
confidence,
34 shots, maybe.
yeah, I'm getting a thumb up, like more points for Giannis.
Yeah,
So
well, some of the crews may be scared of you, so it happens.
that is not even. You can't even say that, Chris. You can't even say it. You got Kyrie. I have Giannis. We both picked our teams today. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone. On Monday, you're gonna find out whose team was actually better. We're going to take LeBron James, Steph Curry, CJ, and King's team. Which one of us is the best GM? We'll tell you all about that Monday. Plus, we'll have guests coming fast and furious for you. Join us Monday for all of that. For CJ, the great crew we have around here, I'm King. Thank you for listening to The Border Battle on OSU Student Radio, KXZY.